Hi guys and welcome to Bomb Anime.
It's your girl Ruka.
And Big Boy Summer here. Solo Leveling, episode 4. So we found out that every time he levels up, not only does he get all his wounds healed, he also gets 1 attribute point for all the attributes, which are the strength, intelligence, agility, perception. And I can't remember if there's anything else.
Yeah, right now he's deciding to go for a throw it all onto strength build. He kind of feels like he's a brand new character that's never played many games and they're just like, let's just throw it all in one stat. I mean, for right now it's working for him, but if he doesn't find a little bit more of a balance or at least put it in some other areas, when he starts coming up against much stronger people, it's going to be a little bit tricky, especially if he comes up against someone, for instance, that has a lot of speed.
I don't know, min-maxing seems to be the meta way of gaming nowadays, where you throw it all mostly into one stat and then you become very good at that stat and you should be able to take on other opponents who have a more rounded build. So maybe he's doing the right thing. But also, it's not a game to him, is it? Right now he is facing monsters, so he needs to be able to kill said monsters. So throwing it all into strength right now is, as you said, a very good idea, I think.
Yeah, it is, especially because he has pretty much no weapons, really. So he's gonna need to have bare strength, and we actually saw in the episode that he had to fight a monster with his bare hands. It was an armored monster, and he ripped its armor away with his bare hands.
Yep, Kazuka couldn't do nothing on him.
So during this whole episode, not just the episode, but actually as it started, I have commented that he kind of seems to be more of a pathetic character than he is in the light novel. And again, they were leaning into this as well. He was having his flashbacks of the temple and getting a little bit scared to fight the monsters because, I mean, every time he's fought monsters in the past, it's been pretty bad for him. Let's just be honest. He had no healer, no party, he was on his own in an unknown dungeon, and he wasn't even sure of the rank. He was like, maybe it's an E rank dungeon? And even so, the first dungeon we saw was supposed to be an E rank dungeon, and they almost died, and that was with a whole ass party. So it was nice to see him sort of say to himself, do you know what? Nothing can be as bad as that double dungeon that we encountered, and his flashbacks became less about him being terrified and more about him using it as motivation.
Yes, them flashbacks being motivation was kind of really nice to see, especially a visual representation of that. The turning point here was him learning that there is no out. You can't disappear, you can't get out of this without a teleportation stone. And then he decided that, you know what, I've already faced death before, I can do this. What are these? These aren't as scary as that big giant smiling statue that we got in episodes 1 and 2. So yes, brilliant way to show his movement and his change of thoughts, and visually it was a good idea.
Also, it's making me lean into what I was thinking before. He wasn't really putting in any effort. He wasn't trying, really. He was a big burden. And I really do believe, I'm doubling down, he just expected to die and was just going through the motions of what would be right to do. He wasn't expecting anything out of it. He thought, okay, my mom's on this life support. I'm not going to be able to pay for it much longer because I'm crap. I'm fighting and I'm crap. I'm gonna die, and I just want to look like I'm a decent person fighting, but deep down I'm just waiting for death. And here we saw him change his mind and actually say, do you know what, this is what he should have done before.
I'm feeling kind of triggered here, bro. Like, you're making good points, but it's hurtful to hear about one of my favorite fictional characters.
Well, no, he's your favorite fictional character in the light novel, but this is a representation. This is a version like the Bible.
Luca's coming for everybody today, bro. Everybody can get it.
I'm just saying, it's like, it's an interpretation of what you read.
Fair enough. I hate the fact that I've got to say this. I do like the fact that Ruka's got a very valid point. Like, think about it this way, and especially in episodes 1 and 2, where he said, take Juhi with you to Kim. That right there kind of proves Ruka's whole point. He's going through the motions. He's doing what looks like should be the best. Like, if you really cared about your mom and sister, you would have been like, take me too, I don't give a crap, try it, and so on and so forth. So at the moment, Ruka, you kind of sound a bit right now, Grumble. So after defeating the snake, he got 2 items. He got a very cool dagger, which basically when you stab someone, it takes 1% of HP down until they're dead, and I think it stops them for a few seconds on first impact. So he got the Kasaka's Venom Fang, which is the dagger, and basically once you stab your opponent will be paralyzed and will get a bleed effect, which will take away 1% of their health every second. And he got the Kasaka's Venom Gland, which basically gives you minus 20% physical damage, but the sacrifice is it takes away 35% of your strength. At this level, I think both items are very good for him, and I feel like he should really sacrifice the strength for the defense, because he is a bit of a wet noodle when it comes to stuff, and his instinct is to kind of run and hide. However, since we've just spoken about the turning point, maybe he should hold off on it and then actually get more strength so that he can absorb the damage, maybe?
In all honesty, I have a sneaking suspicion that the system is working with him, so he put all of his stats in strength. He has said out loud that he intends to keep doing this. He gets an item that's like, oh, if you sacrifice a little bit of your strength, you can get all these benefits, which would work perfectly for him, as you said. And if he carries on just throwing all of his points into strength, this dagger just becomes even better for him, really. Like 35% is going to be really nothing in the grand scheme of things if he's going to throw all of his points consistently into strength. So
it's not the dagger, it's a little potion next to it, the gland.
Oh yeah, whatever, same difference.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is maybe the system is listening to him a little, or at least working with him. So I feel like if he was a different type of person and he was throwing his stats into something else, his item would have been different as well.
I can't possibly comment, obviously. Well, yeah.
We don't know how closely it's going to stick to the source material. I am looking at this anime like freshly, which is why I can make the comments that I can, even though I really do love Solo Leveling and I had a different opinion when I read it. Watching it, I've got a different opinion and things are shaking out. It's the same story, but things can always shake out way differently to what you expect. I mean, look at Promised Neverland.
Wow, you're coming for everybody today, just everyone. Animes, religions, Jinu Song, Summer, everyone. So, Juhi is having PTSD from that big smiley colossal giant thing. And I get it, it's tough. But if you're suffering, don't come on the front lines, love. What are you doing there? You shouldn't even be there for more ways than one. But you're there now, get your head in the game. You've got people to heal them.
I firmly disagree with this because she quit after everything that went down in the dungeon. You could see that her mental health took a massive hit. So they had no business calling her line and telling her that there's an emergency and that they lack healers, knowing what she just went through and knowing the trauma that she's been through and knowing that they have provided her no help. Like, no counseling, no anything, just nothing, okay? And then to tell her to go. Okay, so let's think about the type of people that are usually healers. They're usually people that want to protect others. They might be people who don't necessarily like to actually hurt others, so they might not want to actually use their powers to even hurt a monster. They want to protect life. So saying to a healer, there's not very many healers, there's a situation that's going on really close to you, and they could die without you. What on earth is she gonna do? She's obviously gonna head there, even if she feels how she feels. She might have even thought, you know what, maybe I'm not gonna feel as bad. She was there, and it was only when she was trying to use her abilities that she was getting her flashbacks. I would say Juhi is actually the person that has more likely to have PTSD, which is what you were saying last week about Jinwoo. So I think she's more likely to be the one. It's affecting her powers, it's affecting her everyday life, she's also having flashbacks. I'm feeling bad for her right now. When I read the source material, I kind of didn't like her for running off on Jinwoo, but watching it here, I'm just like, come on bro, I feel for the girl. They had no business calling her to the scene, and she can't be held responsible for the way that she's acted. She's already an adventurer that is known to not do well in high stress situations already.
Okay, when you put it like that, she still should not have been there, but I get why she shouldn't have been there now. But I'm still saying, if you're there, you've got to help, but people could die if you fumble, and that's just facts of life. So she shouldn't have been there in the first place.
None of them should have been there in the first place. If you look at the team that was put together, whether she was there or whether she wasn't, they were gonna die. So her not doing her best, or freaking out a little bit, wouldn't have had any extra negativity.
What? Because the end result.
They would have all died. They would have all died.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough.
And we can just say that her, even if she wasn't the best, and the tank kept them alive long enough for someone to come and do what needed to be done.
Fair enough.
But it also begs the question, in this world, do they not assess the strength of the dungeon breaks and send the adventurers that can deal with that? How does this work? And why does it seem that every time there's a big tragedy, it's only really low level people that get called to come and do it?
That's a very good question. I have no answers.
What would you rate the episode?
I'd give this episode a solid 6.5 out of 10. It wasn't that great. It didn't do much for me. It did do the explanation of the system, but that's about it. Nothing else in this episode was important for me. Yeah, 6.5 out of 10.
This episode is gonna get an 8. Jinwoo really broke out of his shell. He's putting his best foot forward. He's thinking about the system. He's thinking about his points. He's learning about all different aspects of the system that he's been given. He's also gotten a massive strength increase, a massive power increase in general. My man is glowing. I like what this episode means for the season at large. You can see that things are going to start to ramp up from here. We've got all of our little basic stuff out of the way now. After our first 3 episodes, I'm expecting next episode to give me at least a 9.
First of all, thank you so much for watching our episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, it's BombAnimeInsta. Peace.